Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Too Opinionated, where I'm just thrilled to death today. Today, I'm joined by rapper, playwright Matt Wagner, who goes by the stage name of MNERVA.
That's me.
Yeah. So, welcome, Matt.
Thanks so much for having me on the show, Mike. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, this is a big one for me. So talk a little bit about MNERVA. What made you go with that name? Because that name's pretty cool, and I like the way you spell it.
Yeah, so I decided I wanted to jump headfirst into the artist train about, oh my god, about 3 years ago now. That's wild. But yeah, I was working a desk job at a guitar company, and
Okay.
I was listening to a song called Minerva by one of my favorite bands, Deftones, and I don't know why, but I was listening to the song and I was like, oh my
Nice.
I love the shoegaze atmospheric guitar thing that that band is so known for. What if someone took that and like put it with trap and like modern hip hop instrumentals? And I was like, that could be so cool. And I was like, oh my god, cool. Let's look into this. So Minerva is the Roman goddess of wisdom, and I was like, okay,
Yeah.
cool. I kind of want to come in and I'm not your average rapper upbringing and personality wise. I'm like kind of want to turn hip hop's conventional wisdom on its head. So I think Minerva is a good name for that.
Yeah, I love it, and I knew the Roman god connection because I was nerdy growing up, so I went through that Greek Roman god phase
Oh yeah,
that a
same.
lot of nerdy people go through.
I am a proud first singles about it.
You know, when I was younger, but probably before you came around, it wasn't that cool to be nerdy. You know what I mean? You didn't do as well. Like now, everybody's nerdy. It's cool to be geeky.
Man, I grew up like right when that transition was happening because oh my god, I was probably like 12 when Iron Man came out, which was
Yeah.
really the the big quantum shift. But yeah,
Oh yeah.
I remember being made fun of so much as a kid for liking comic books and Star Wars and all that other stuff. And I remember hiding it for so long, and now I'm just like, who
Now
cares?
you got to let it out there now.
Yeah,
We
exactly.
were talking off camera, about comic books. So back in the '90s, in the '80s, when you went to comic book conventions, the only people there would be the writers and the artists. There was no celebrities. There was no cosplay. There was very few women. It was mostly mostly guys. You know what? Along with that kind of shift with Iron Man, and that kind of came through. You got cosplay. You got a lot more females involved.
Yeah.
Now
My
it's
girlfriend goes to
celebrities
so many
showing up.
conventions.
Yeah, I mean, conventions are so much better now than what they were back then. Although I still kind of miss those days because now you go to conventions and you just don't spend as before. Those artists, especially, I mean, they were rock stars as far as comic books. That's where everybody wanted to go. Now everybody wants to see the celebrities. So
You're like voice actors.
yeah, that's it. Old comic book guys like me, I go to those conventions and I can hang out with the older, old timey artists and writers all day long. It's the
Yeah.
best.
Man, I'm not gonna lie. I still have yet to go to a con. Like I didn't have a car for like literally ever. So I'm
Yeah,
like,
you got to do it.
yeah, and they were just never around or like I grew up and stuff. And so like it's
Yeah.
on my bucket list and very like once the world stops ending, definitely plan on doing that.
Yeah, yeah, right. I know we normally as part of this show we'll cover conventions as press, and we had all this stuff lined up last year, and every single one of them got canceled. So we're hoping that this fall we can start that back up because it's just a fun time. It's just
How
a good
about
time.
I'd go with you in a heartbeat, man. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's go. You're not that far away.
Yeah, at this point, yeah, no. I grew up in a suburb in Maryland, so it was like
Yeah.
definitely DC was kind of close, but like also really not. So it was
Yeah.
like being in Nashville, little better.
I think it takes us like 5 hours maybe to get to Nashville, something like that. 4.5, 5 hours. It's not that bad.
Gotcha, I gotcha.
That's not that bad. So do you know who Todd McFarlane is?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So I went to a convention back in the '80s before he was anybody.
Hmm.
He was working for DC at the time, so he
Okay.
hadn't even done Marvel yet, and he was sitting next to John Byrne. And John Byrne at the time was doing X-Men, so he was as big as you could get as far as
Yeah.
a writer went. So the line for John Byrne out the door. The line for Todd McFarlane was me. And I spent the entire day with him. He signed probably 100 books of mine. It was the best. And then, shortly thereafter, he became like the biggest thing in comic books
Yeah.
with that. So you just never know.
And how cool is it to be like, I was there before it was cool.
That's right. I was there. I was there when, he was just looking for anybody to talk to. I've tried to send him. I'll send him a message. I'll be like, hey, Todd, I was there for you. Maybe you could come on the podcast sometime. Nothing. He's gotten too big.
People would freak if that happens.
So Matt, let's start here. So what started your interest in getting into the entertainment business or the music business? Yes. How did that start?
So my parents are both musicians. They both
okay.
They actually met in a band, like super cute. But
nice.
My dad's a drummer and my mom's a singer, and then I kind of got both genes, thank God. And so what happened was they were doing like jazz clubs around DC forever, and I came around and they were like, all right, gotta start a family. But I picked up drums like from like age 5 because my earliest memories are like my dad's gigs. And so, basically I started flirting with that for a few years, joined a band when I was 13. And then it was like, off to the races. That was changed.
Yeah. Then you couldn't stop you.
Yeah. No, it was like we did a lot of classic rock stuff, mostly Rush. My guitar player and my bassist were like obsessed. And I'm over here like as the drummer and I'm like.
You were probably the only teenage band anywhere doing Rush.
Actually, there was one other one, and they were like our straight competition. We had a good time with them, but
doesn't every teen band start with Rush though?
Somehow and I'm over here as the drummer, being like, Neil Peart, who is this? Like, and that was a trip for me. Improved. I was like the weak link when we started. Improved my playing so much by the end. But eventually the guitarist actually left that band, and so it was just me and the bass player, and I got really into recording at that point. So we started writing songs, and that was really when I caught the bug. At the time I was just doing like piano rock stuff, and so it was a little different than what I'm doing now. But then I got to college. I went to Nashville for college at Belmont, and
oh, nice.
Yeah, I moved in with this guy who was a DJ, and he I remember just we would hang out with start doing freestyles and like rapping, and he kind of looked at me. He's like, you're better at this than singing, right? Not freestyling, I suck at freestyling, but just better at rapping than that. Really? Okay. And so I started exploring it, and before I knew it, I was completely obsessed, and then started majoring in songwriting, and then literally have a BS in songwriting, which is like my favorite phrase ever.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome.
Just because it's a BS degree. So that really
got degree.
that really got me going. And I was like, I started using it as kind of a coping mechanism for the negative emotions I had but didn't really know how to process yet. Before I knew it, I was like, all right, I love this, and I have stuff I want to share. I have stuff that I think I can say, and so I think this is important enough. I'm gonna put in the time. I'm gonna put in the money. I'm gonna make this happen. And so and then as this was happening, I also did theater all through high school, and then when I was a freshman in college, I was like, I'm gonna write a musical based on the catalog of 21.
Yes.
And so I was kind of working on both careers at the same time. Finished the 21 Pilots show first, so I started my career with that. Went viral, got some fans who I love and are near and dear to my heart. And then, dropped my first single from MNERVA. After that project, got a cease and desist letter and died. And here I am.
Well, I remember that when it came out because it was big. It went viral.
It did, man. This is like TikTok's beginning too. So I didn't even.
That's right.
I'm like, I can't even imagine what would have happened had I.
It was big. So, what was that like though? So you do this project, it becomes this huge hit, and then you get a cease and desist letter.
Well, man, when I first started doing the project, I always knew that was a possibility. People are always like, dude, how stupid could you be? This is of course this is gonna happen. I'm like, yeah, I knew it was possible, but I'm very much when I say I'm gonna do something, I do it. It's a blessing and a curse, if I'm being honest.
Okay, let me ask you this. Did it make you a bigger fan of 21 Pilots, or were you like, come on, man?
Man, I've had a very complex relationship with the band, but I still bop all their stuff. They just released a new single last week. And I know every word. Shy Away is wonderful, and I'm
Yeah,
very
they are talented. They are, but I mean, I just thinking from if it was me, if I did that and somebody parried it or whatever they wanted to do with it, I'd be like, yeah, more power to you. Have fun with it. I'd be like getting on there making comments and stuff. You know, I just have fun with it.
It was really cool actually. The drummer, I dropped a trailer, and the drummer Josh John, he actually liked the trailer, which was like gave me so much street cred in the community because everyone was like, what happened was the reason it got a cease and desist was I kind of split their community in half. Half of them were like, "Oh my god, this is amazing, dude," and the other half were like, "Please kill yourself, you disrespectful person."
Right. Well, you always get those overly serious, rock
They
fans.
made a lot of assumptions about the show that weren't true, and I tried doing damage control, but once
Yeah.
people get stuff in their head, they thought that I was like the main character was the lead singer Tyler, and that like I was trying to monetize his mental health struggle, and I'm like, no, 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 no. This is about like my struggle with like learning
Right.
myself and like my experiences like going through like having a friend commit suicide and like how that like
Yeah.
really affected me and the people around me like when I was in high school, and so that was really what the plot was based off. And yeah, again, I did my best, but it really split their fan base in two. And so I think that the band in Warner Chapel was very much like, we could endorse this, but it's a massive risk, or we could shut this down. That's the safe route. Let's do the safe route.
Yeah. Come on.
Which hey, it sucks, but at the same time, I learned so much about being a creative by doing that show, man. I mean,
Yeah.
like, everything about arranging. I mean, I became such a better songwriter because I'm analyzing Tyler Joseph's like brilliant lyrics and melodies, and like
Right.
now I'm using those same skills to like do MNERVA, and it's like, hey, now I'm in full control of this. No one can tell me like yes, you can do this, no, you can't do this, and it's really nice. It's like, all right, cool. I'm on this journey, and I'm only in the first step, but a lot of people from my Blurry Face the Musical fans actually jumped on MNERVA. And, during the pandemic, I actually wrote my own original musical as well. So, like,
Oh, now see that. And so, yeah. So you took the lessons, and I mean, that was basically all that came of it, right? As far as on their side, they gave you the letter, you stopped, and that was the end of it.
very much so. I was like, I don't want to get sued.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now I love that you actually used it. So is the musical? Is it funny? Is it serious? The one you wrote during the quarantine.
So it's going to be also very serious. They're not they're definitely very different shows, but at the same
Yeah,
time, I'm very passionate about mental health. I really want to.
yeah,
I have a lot to say on the topic, and so yeah, I really wanted to dive into like what it feels like to be what it feels like to go through grief and feel like your life is going nowhere. Like that really weird like early 20s phase where like hey, I'm an adult but I don't feel like it. And so the show is called What's Written, which is a reference to a song where basically the lyric is like, no matter what I try, I can't erase what's written.
right. I
And
like that.
yeah, so just talk about like past and everything else. And so yeah, I really wanted to just discuss like what happens when like you're you feel like you can't move forward in life. And so yeah, I got 18 songs that I wrote over quarantine.
Ooh, holy crap!
Oh dude, I'm not gonna lie, I'm really excited for my next phase, MNERVA, but like this show, I cannot wait for live theater to come back because I can't wait to
Oh
work.
my gosh, that's amazing, and I totally get it because when you're at that early 20s age, that's a hard time because you're probably finishing up school, and it's like that's the time where it's like now you're supposed to grow up, but you don't really know how to do that yet. It's just that's a difficult time. So I kind of like that you're using some of that experience.
And I
It's
feel like
pretty good.
I feel like so many shows dive into like like high school, or dive into like hey, I'm 30, and like
Yeah.
I really don't know a lot of shows that dive into like this that awkward in between phase there, because like especially in my generation now, having the pandemic, like like all of us 94 to 98 babies, it's like I'm
Yes.
6, but it's like we're that awkward in between of like generation like millennials and Generation Z. It's really weird. It's like I didn't get a smartphone until I was like a senior in high school. Meanwhile, like 3 years later, these kids like got one in like second grade, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
that changes your world. And so like I remember a time like pre-internet, like not like in proto-internet, like I always
Right.
had, but like it's so many of us really struggle with this phase, and the fact that like we've now been through this pandemic as we're trying to start our careers and trying to start our
Yeah.
lives. And I'm like, I feel like we're all gonna not come out of that unscathed, and I kind of want to talk about it.
Yeah, I really, I mean, talk a little bit about the struggles that you had because it was such a isolating year, especially for younger people who they isolate a little bit anyway. You know, with the technology, they tend to isolate, but now they're really stuck. You know, and all of us were, but I think younger people especially really suffered through that. So, I mean, talk a little bit about how that affected you and what you ultimately ended up doing to kind of get out of that.
Yeah, well, it's funny you said stuck. I'm like, ooh, there it is. There's the buzzword. That actually is what my next single's called. It's called
Yeah.
Stuck. It's, my
That's
pandemic.
how good of a podcamer I am. I just work
That's
it
it.
in.
I was like, ooh, ooh, and roll credits. Let's go. Yeah. But yeah, I remember on March 15th, 2020, I crashed my car, I lost my job, and I got evicted all on the same day.
Oh
And
my gosh. Man, that's terrible.
March, man, it was wild.
And it was all on the same day?
All on the same day, man. And so, yeah, I was like, well, I guess
Well,
I'm
but
going
did
home.
you crash your car because you lost your job?
No, it was I crashed it going into work, but I was like close enough to work, so I then walked to work, and that's when we found out that because I work in the restaurant industry right now, and so that's
Yeah.
when we got to shut this down. We don't know what's going on, and then I came home, and yeah, no, my landlord was basically like, hey, just letting you know, I'm not renewing your lease, and I'm like, okay,
Oh my
well,
gosh, what a day.
going home. And so yeah, I had to move home, and at first I was like the most productive I had ever been in my life, but then yeah, I don't know, around May I lost it. I felt like I was living through like the same thing every day, and it was
Yeah,
very
Groundhog's Day.
exactly. And it was like, all right, cool. Before I know it, it just felt like I was like working on music for my own vanity instead of like, for
Right.
because I was like, cool, I gotta get the streams so I can play the live show, so I can get the fans, so I can like, start doing things like online and actually have like a social media presence. And now I just felt like, okay, cool. Every time I post, I'm being totally fake because I'm like, yo, this is like not, I'm struggling right now, and everyone is, but we're all seeing the same constant things over and over.
Right.
How we're killing it, and I just wasn't. And before I knew it, I just started playing old video games to like feel better and like watch. I watched
Yeah.
Avatar: The Last Airbender in like 3 days, and
Well, it's
like
like we all were doing that. It was comfort. You were just looking for comfort.
exactly. And so when I moved back to Nashville, I literally booked a session with my buddy Corey Shore, who produced all my other stuff that had been out at the time. I was like, buddy, I got some stuff on my chest. I got to write this down. And yeah, man. So I literally came here like with like a little bit of basic lyric, and I mean, we finished the song in like 2 hours, man. And I was
Oh
like,
wow.
God, this is, and that never happens to me. I'm a very slow writer. So yeah, I was like, all right, I felt stuck. Here it is. This is how I feel. I really think people are going to be able to relate to this one because like it was, such a hard year. And like now, how do we take the first steps to like, move forward? Because like I recognize I'm stuck. I recognize things are not, my life's not
Right.
what I want it to be, but like, how do I change that? And honestly, writing that song was like the first thing that really got me out of it. Like I started therapy soon after. I stopped drinking, and I really I
Oh, that's
started.
awesome.
And so it was like, all right, I feel like a human being now. It's like I feel like talk about emerging adulthood. That was like what I needed to grow up.
Yeah, I mean that's actually kind of inspirational. I mean that's because I get it. I get the timeline. So you had all this bad stuff happen in March, but at that time we were thinking it's going to be a few weeks, maybe a month, and then everything's going to go back to normal. And then, but by May, everybody was like, "How long is this going to last?" You know. So I get that kind of being the point where you were starting to really struggle because I think a lot of us were having that, and that um, stuck the song. It's gonna resonate, I think, with most people that listen to it.
Yeah. I really hope so. It comes out April 30th, so really soon here actually. And
Yeah, that's exciting.
I'm playing a show tomorrow, a live stream, but then after that I'll be in release mode again, which is just I have
Yeah.
not been in release mode since October 7th, which was my
Well, I
birthday.
was gonna say, so is this song part of the or goes with the songs you released last year? I mean, are they all going to go for like an EP at some point?
So funny story about that. I actually had an EP planned at the time with Gene,
Yeah.
Bad Guy Famous, and this one other song called Will I, but it has a sample. So I've been trying to clear that sample for like ever. And the problem is it samples
Who do I need to call?
yeah, exactly. It samples a musical. And so looking into the right situation for that. Basically, it's really, you can't really sample one song from shows. You kind of have to like, you can't just license one song. You have to license the whole show.
Right. Right.
And, that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
So that was my plan. So I'm like, cool, Stuck will be like that last song for this era of like of standalone singles, and kind of a transition song. Like I really, so I am like a rock artist at heart. That's really like what my background is in. And so but I love hip hop and I love alternative music and I love like, you know, electronic music. And so the Stuck is kind of like my bridge in between like what I was working on then and what I'm working on now. I actually got an EP right now that we are just finished mixing the last song and it sounds so good. And
that's
so
awesome.
EP called Talk Too Much. It's going to be 5 entirely new songs with an intro track. And yeah, it's going to be coming out. First single's probably going to be coming out in June is what it's looking like. So I am beyond excited to finally.
I was going to say, you got a lot going on. That's a lot.
I'm trying.
I get why you switched more to rapping, and that's without, you know, I'm sure you're a very talented singer, but you're so high energy. It seems like that just fits you better.
Dude, for me with rap, it was very much a like, I have a lot to say. I talk too much. And so because of that, it was like, yeah, right. I'm funny. But because of that, it was like, I really want to dive into like these subjects like in depth. I love long form storytelling. That's why I love theater, and that's why you got 3 minutes to tell a story, like, you know, in a song. And I'm like, cool. I really want to like, I don't want to just focus on one thing. I really want to dive into as much as I can. And so it's now been cool for me because I am starting to sing again right now, and I'm Stuck actually.
That's good.
I'm gonna be. It's mostly sung, and so it's like cool. It's gonna be transitioning to where I'm like doing both at the same time, and then I'm working on my next project after Talk Too Much right now as we speak also, and it's like cool. It's going to be a lot of singing on this one.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I kind of lost confidence in my singing ability for a while there, but then that's my goal for 2021 was to really become a good singer, and you know we're really making a lot of strides, and it feels just writing the musical helped a lot too because I'm like, all right, this is how you do melody.
I mean, the good news, even with all the struggles, is that you actually put the time to really good use, and you came up with like new skills. You know, you honed old ones. It seems like you were very productive in your time. So I mean, that's pretty positive.
You know, when I talk about it, it's like, oh wow, I did a lot of things, but like in my head, I'm still like, you piece of crap, you did nothing, you wasted all that.
I get that.
Working through that cycle and thought process is hard. I don't know. My self-worth has always been very connected to my productivity. And because of that, it's like, you know, I'm trying to separate that. And that's why therapy's been great.
Yeah. Well, and I love that you are pretty open about going because, you know, for when I was growing up, there was a stigma with being in therapy. And thankfully now you don't really have that because it's so helpful. You know, if you're struggling, that's what you want. You know, go get somebody to talk to that knows what they're doing so they can help you get out of it.
And dude, I was such a hypocrite. I'd be telling my friends like, hey man, you really try this out. And like, I would never do it myself. I was so scared to go into that first session. And now I'm like, it's the best part of my week. And
well, yeah,
that's the hard part. It's like, it's like I talk about in Stuck. It's like, I don't know how to take the first step. It's like, you know, this is really, but once you do, it's like, oh my God, now there's the path. All I got to do is walk forward.
Yeah. Well, and I love the fact that even though you're talking about kind of serious subjects in some of the songs, you do it with kind of a sense of humor, and I think that's really cool.
As I said, I'm funny, man.
Oh shoot! So I know you play drums. Do you play any other instruments?
I also play piano. So yes, I hit things, whether it's with my fingers or my hands.
Yeah. No. How did you avoid the string instruments?
You know, I tried a lot when I was in like middle school and like high school, and it never connected. Like I'm very much a math guy, so like, you know, piano, it makes sense to me because it's math. It's like, okay, cool, you go up a half step. This is
right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Into this, that visual aid helped me. The fretboard I never got. But the problem is that I love guitars more than anything in life. I'm constantly with producers like, yo, man, I hear this. I don't know what notes it is. I can play it on piano, but it's like, can you voice it this way? And they're like, dude, that's so hard to play on guitar. I'm like, well, figure it out.
Yeah, that's right. Well, that was my next question. So do you have a group of musicians that help you with the music side of it, or are you mixing that yourself? How does that work?
So I have the pleasure of working with some incredible producers, Andrew
Yeah.
Gomez, Tony Chetta, Corey Shore,
Mhm.
on, and truly, like, they have changed the game for me as far as music goes. I actually have one song off Talk Too Much called Talk Too Much that I did produce half of myself, which I'm very proud of, because that is I'm
That's
really
awesome.
I'm really not a producer, but like I can make a pretty damn good demo. But like it's that last like 40%. And my buddy Andrew Gomez, he absolutely murdered this song, because like I knew I had to produce it myself, because it was like, okay, it's a rap song in 5/4 with no chorus. That's a lot of people are gonna be like, what are you doing? There's a good shit. Just let me get there.
That's
So
pretty awesome.
I'm very excited to put out. But yeah, so yeah, all these people very much. I'm like, hey, cool. I know with MNERVA, I want trap drums. I want like live guitars. I want atmospheric synths, and like just very much gave them like a reference track. Like, hey,
Yeah.
like if we can make like the Deftones of the world, the Bill Murrays of the world, they're a band out of Columbus, Ohio. I absolutely adore.
Yeah.
And like the early Coldplays of the world. If we can make that like into rap music, I think that will be like really original and something you haven't seen before, and like really cool to just see how that works. And so yeah, they just take that, put their own spin on it. And it's like, oh, it's so much better than anything I can do. And I'm like, y'all are
That's actually, I actually love that description because you described your music pretty well
yeah.
right there, and it is unique. I mean, it's different. I mean, you can hear certain things in it, but overall, it's just a very unique sound, which I think is great because it's hard to find anything unique these days.
I'm definitely trying, man. It's I don't know. I love rock music, but when I just hear like a straight rock song now, I kind of roll
Yeah.
my I'm like, okay, cool. We've done like guitar, bass, and drums like for like the last 60 years. And it's like
Right.
so many different amazing ways. And like, I love that music, but like I want to do something else. And that's why I love artists like Grandson or 21 Pilots, who are like taking those influences,
Right.
moving it forward. But then also the same token with hip hop, like, I start hearing like these like hip hop beats that like, all these like pages are trying to sell me. And I'm like, guys, this sounds like every other like Travis Scott beat out there. And like, I love that
Yeah.
stuff, but like it's been done. I want to like, let's put it together and see what happens. Like Linkin Park is my favorite band and like always will be. And so the way they were able to mash genres and like do it in a way that like, felt new, but also like you could trace the influences. I'm like, I
Right.
want to do that, but with different music.
Yeah, that was kind of. I was going to ask you if you liked Lincoln Park because that's what it kind of reminds me of.
Yeah, Mike Shinoda is definitely first off the most underrated songwriter in the world. My God, that man is brilliant. But yeah, I remember Meteor was like their second record was the first album I
Yeah.
bought, for example, and like I still revisit all their albums for like just looking for inspiration because they went to so many different areas. I mean, my God, they have a metal record, they have a pop record, they have the rap rock records, they have the experimental electronic records. I mean, it's like there's so many different things, and I respect them so much for taking all those
Yeah.
risks. And I remember being a kid and being like, "This record sucks. It's not hitting." Now I'm like, "Oh, this record's brilliant. What are we doing?"
Well, your taste matured.
And so yeah, definitely. And also just I mean, people tell me I sound like Mike Shinoda a lot, and it's like, yeah, no, that man is definitely where I learned how to rap. And then like I got really into Logic, and I got really into NF, and I got really
Yeah.
into J. Cole and Kendrick and all these guys and Kanye, and like from that influence is really how I've gotten my style. And honestly, just the fact that I play drums. I mean, it's really I'm kind of thinking it's like cool. What would I play with my hands? Now it's just apply words to it.
I love it. I love that. So okay, so what what style of music or artist do you secretly like, but nobody knows that you like it?
Oh my god. Ooh, that's fun. Um
Because we all have one.
Oh God. Oh, I'm gonna get dragged for this. I don't care what anyone says. A Thousand Miles by Vanessa Carlton is a bop, and that song is absolutely wonderful. That's one. I've been told my taste in music is like a mixture of like angsty teenager and like basic white girl. But I see it like this, like the reason all these songs, a lot of meme songs like become memes is because they actually like have the ability to like reach so many different places. And I remember, oh my
Yeah, they're
God,
catchy.
Yeah, I remember one of the most traumatic memories of my childhood was I was like a freshman in high school, and like someone asked me like what type of music I like, and at the time I said Nickelback, and oh my god, I got destroyed for that, and I
I
never told
tell you,
what I listened to again.
yeah, I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this. And this was before they became this punchline
Yeah.
with it. Because I will admit that their songs sound very similar.
Yes. Oh, and where they evolved to, like they fed into it, like they knew
They
where.
did, they did, but that doesn't mean that they're bad songs.
Yeah,
Some of them are very good songs.
especially
They
the early.
just,
Yeah.
yeah, they just have a lot of them. But I actually, I really liked them when they first came out, and I actually told my wife that I loved her for the first time singing her a Nickelback song. So
Really?
there's nobody out there that has a more embarrassing Nickelback story than me.
Dude, I love that. But oh god, I'm trying to think what else. I mean, yeah, another meme artist, if you will. Like Evanescence is definitely one of the bands that got me into music, and like I remember how like, everyone was like, "Oh my god, what are you, some goth kid?" And I was like, "Do I look like it?"
I think they got a new album coming out.
They just came out, and I
Yeah,
was the day of, and I'm like, "Oh, Amy, I love you so much."
I know.
But but yeah, it's like stuff like that. It's like I think that people should not be ashamed for the things they listen to. It's like you can objectively be like, is this good music or is this not? And like, I think it's
Yeah,
okay to be like, hey, I recognize this is not, but it slaps. Because I mean,
that's right.
especially with so many hip hop songs, it's like, yeah, no, this is not a good song. But like
But
like Dram, oh my god, like not a good song. I love that song.
yeah, I know when and my oldest, who's probably around your age, she was born in '94.
Mhm.
So all she listened to growing up was the boy bands and Britney Spears. So it was NSYNC and Backstreet Boys, Britney Spears. It's just nonstop, nonstop. Well, to this day, any of their stuff comes on, I'm like, yeah, all right. And I'm like, what are you doing?
I didn't realize how good the music of Britney Spears was for a very long time. Like, I mean, obviously they fed into like the image, like the youthful innocence and like
Yeah,
oh, I'm a sexy child, which not great. But at the same time, like Toxic, for example, that song is really intricate when you actually break it down.
right, right.
And so
Yeah,
I feel like so much music from that era actually that got so much hate. It's like no. I mean, like Justin
it's
Timberlake.
actually pretty well done. Some of it's pretty well done.
Justin Timberlake went on to obviously be Justin Timberlake. So
Yeah.
that NSYNC stuff, it's like, no, you can see the beginnings of where he was going to go. He just hadn't developed yet.
If there's a better meme than it's gonna be May, I don't know what it is.
We were going, oh god, oh thank God, we're about to start sharing that again. It's so soon.
Oh my gosh, that is thank you, internet,
Yeah.
for that one. You mentioned that you remember when the internet came around. You're old enough to remember that. For me, it was cable. So I remember, I grew up pre-cable, so I remember when cable TV started. And it was only two channels. It was Atlanta and Chicago. That was cable.
Damn.
But I never really thought about that. But you guys born in the '90s, late '80s, you were pre-internet basically.
Yeah, like my first memory, like I'm born in '96, like I'm 24.
Yeah.
My first memories are around like 2000, 2001.
Yeah.
And like I can remember 9/11. I was just 5, but but
Right.
at the same time, it's like I always remember having a computer in the house, but like it was like I'm using
VIC 20, Commodore 64.
well, we were Mac people like before.
Oh, nice.
My dad became a graphic designer after he was a
Yeah.
and
Gotcha.
so like that was always what we did. But yeah, I remember like we use it for like computer like educational things. I wasn't using like the internet, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like I remember YouTube happening in like 2005 and being
Yep.
like, oh, what is this video? This is so cool. And like now it's like kids. It's like, how do you remember times before YouTube? That's wild. It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Like some of my girlfriend's friends are like born in like 2001. And I'm just like, oh, I'm sorry, that exists.
It's so weird because it's moving so fast. I mean, when I was a kid, it was 8 tracks.
Yep.
And then it was cassettes, and then kind of records kind of went away, and you had DVDs. And then DVDs kind of went away, and then it was all online, and
Really?
now the records are coming back.
Yeah. Oh man, I definitely got a few vinyls hanging up in the room right now.
Yeah.
So of 21 Pilots because I'm a
Well,
still a
of
huge.
course.
I
I think they're going to reach out. It's
I,
going to come. They're going to reach out and they're going to be like, let's
I just
revisit this.
hope that one day I do get to meet Tyler and Josh, just to say thank you, because like I mean
Yeah.
their music really did change my life because it really started my career and really got me like, hey, I want to do this, and like I love the way that they've helped unstigmatize mental health. Like for example, the song "Neon Gravestones" off Trench. I've been
Yeah.
wanting to write that exact song idea for years, and they just took the words right out of my mouth, and I'm like, that was just such a cathartic moment for me, being like, wow, thank you. I didn't know how to say
Yeah.
it that way. You guys did. And it's like, this is such an important, it's like, okay, yes, we have to bring attention to mental health, but also like, you need to like, don't feel like, if you end your life, that it's like, you're doing yourself a favor because you're not.
That's right. Yeah. I love that you have kind of taken that lesson and you're passing on, because that's the beauty of music. It speaks to people in ways that just words don't. And your music does that. I mean, it's impressive.
It's about to get a lot darker before it gets better, but at the same time, we're gonna dive into it.
It's a journey.
It's been really weird for me, man, because I'm like, I always am trying to like write new material and everything, but
Yeah.
yeah, I've been very much like in a very forgiving and a very like happy mood. Like, I'm in a great relationship, got good friends, like
That's
family,
good.
right?
What does what does your family think of your music? And are they fans of it, kind of knowing what you've been through, or how do they feel about it?
the rapper thing was definitely an adjustment for them.
Yeah.
My dad in particular really does not like rap music at all, and because he remembers like being in the R&B circles in like the 80s and growing up
Yeah.
in in DC, and where rap started, and it's so different now from like the adult, and
Yeah.
so because of that
Yeah. That's my rap.
and so he in his eyes, I think it's always going to be about like like bitches and cars, and that's fine. But
Right.
like
Right.
it's obviously so much more than that. And like I always say that I'm I'm an artist. I'm not necessarily a rapper because there's a lot of connotations when it comes to rappers.
Sure. That's right. That's
And
right.
I love those things, but it's very much not my personality. Like people always are like, "You rap?" I'm like, I mean, yeah. It's like
Yeah.
anyone can technically. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like there's so much like
That's
culture.
not true. There are some of us that should not rap ever.
And there's so much like important culture that you have to understand with it
Yeah.
that you're on. Because I mean, my God, like I used to live in New York and like getting to see like the birthplace of hip hop, like in the Bronx, and like
Yeah.
see where it came from. It's like, okay, if you want to do this, you got to respect what came before you and like really learn from it. But at the same time, you can like use those skills and like really move forward with it, and that's what I'm trying to do with that. But yeah, so with my parents, it definitely took them a sec. But no, I mean, they really like the music I'm making now, especially as it's leaned more and more rock, because like that's really what they grew up. I mean, my dad's like the biggest Jimi Hendrix fan in the world. Like, for my mom, she's just like, "This is really good. Are you okay?" Like,
Well, it's a mom.
but yeah, no, they're very supportive. I mean, they definitely going to be watching that show I got tomorrow, which is wild, and because it's a live stream, so anyone can tune in.
Yeah, that's awesome. So okay, so let's talk about that. So where can people see this live show?
So I'm playing my first live show was MNERVA, actually, because I was one day away from booking my last one and the world ended, and I'm like, damn it! But I was so mad. But
Terrible.
yeah, so it's with this company called Tuned In Live. They do really high quality live stream concerts, and it's going to be on Facebook.com/Tuned In Live.
All right, yeah, it's easy. That's easy.
Exactly. So it's tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Central, and yeah, if you guys want to tune in and hear some music, I'll be doing basically it's a show with an interview component. So it's like, yeah, we'll play a song, talk to the host a little bit. I'll be doing some drum stuff. I'll be doing some singing stuff, some rapping stuff, playing some stuff from the new musical What's Written, and yeah, it's gonna be a little bit of everything, which is fun.
That's awesome. I'm a big fan of that. Are there other musicians performing as well, or is it just you?
So I'm gonna be having my DJ Beezer on with me. He's
Yeah.
incredible at what he does, and yeah, I very much was like, all right, if it's gonna be a live stream, I want the least hiccup potential possible. So yes,
Right.
he's gonna be spinning stuff for me, and we got a couple fun mashups because of that, because like the potential with a turntable is absolutely limitless, which is why.
Yeah.
So yeah, we my song "Growing Up" in particular, I'm really proud of what we did with that one, because like with beat changes and stuff. So
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'll tune in. That sounds awesome. My stepson he's the musician in the family, and I'll make sure he tunes in because he's one of those that he's 19, can pick up any instrument within a few minutes he's playing. He plays by ear, and he's just crazy talented with that stuff. It just makes you sick. He's so talented.
drummer, it was so hard for me, like learning ear training, because like that really, like I can pick up like rhythm, like like this,
Yeah.
it's easy. But like, oh god, man, it like at 24 years old, I'm only now just being like, okay, cool. Here's how you hear a harmony. Here, okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's a 1 5 6 4 progression. I can tell you from hearing it. I don't need to like figure it out. And it's like that was probably the most like validating thing I ever did as a musician, because like
Yeah.
there's stereotypes when it comes to drummers, and I still drum for a lot of different artists around Nashville, mostly pop artists. Love them, like shout out Katie Mack, Cypress, Matt Sparaza, absolutely love them. But like we
Awesome.
there's so many stereotypes that come with it, as far as like you got the dumber in the back, and like they can't have an opinion, they're not actual musicians, and those artists don't do that to me. But I've had so many
Yeah.
experiences where I was like, you know what, I there's more to music career than this, and I really want to like try to like share my story as well.
Yeah. Well, good for you. That's good. So the new song coming out April 30th is Stuck.
Yep.
So it's very exciting. I can't wait. Um, what else do you have upcoming that we haven't touched on?
So yeah, I got Stuck. Talk Too Much is going to be my
Talk
next.
Too Much, the EP. Yep.
So I got the first single from that's going to be called Quarter Life Crisis. I got 25 in the horizon, and I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh my god, I'm going to be closer to 30 than to 20 really soon.
I remember those days. I'd take them back in a second, but I remember freaking out.
So yeah, it's going to be good, and yeah, so that will be coming out around June. Still need to get the
Awesome.
date, but so that'll be a thing, and then from there, yeah, it's going to be a new song every month until the project finally drops, probably around September.
Yeah, that's exciting. So, all right, so going back to quarantine,
Mhm.
you mentioned that you got into playing the old video games. What games were you playing?
Oh, dude, I play this game at least once a year. It's a problem. You remember Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic? It came out in 2003.
Yeah.
Oh god, game of the year that year. That whole franchise. I'm a massive Star Wars guy. I mean, my god, like the
Yeah. Me
literally
too.
watching The Mandalorian is wild for me, because I'm like, oh, they're pulling that from the extended universe. Oh my god, like the Krayt Dragon was from KOTOR. Yes.
Yeah, I know. I'm that guy too. So
Yes.
I recognize that in you.
Yes. But basically, yeah, I replayed this game like once a year, and I probably went through like 4 playthroughs.
Are we going to get Star Killer? Are we going to get a Knights of the Republic
Oh,
movie?
I would, if they bring Revan to screen, I will. I won't freak out, because I need to see what they do first. Because if they ruin it, I will never forgive.
Uh,
But at the same time, it's like like in The Last Jedi, there were a lot of references to the Old Republic era, and like,
Yeah.
I think they're gonna eventually do it. They just have to find the right script.
I thought Keanu might be playing Revan, but I guess he's playing somebody else.
that would have been really cool. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
What I remember, there was a rumor that the Game of Thrones writers were gonna Dan and Dave were gonna
I heard that.
KOTOR trilogy, but obviously Game of Thrones didn't go too well. So goodbye.
Well, I tell you what screwed them up is it was great
Yeah.
while they had source material.
Yep.
But I think they discovered that writing it themselves, was not nearly as easy, even knowing the story.
Yeah, well, and the problem too with them was like, so season 6 is actually my favorite season of Game of Thrones, which was then on new material. But I'm pretty sure George had like that part of Winds of Winter written, just not.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, and so yeah, I understand why they wanted to get out because, like, obviously Game of Thrones most expensive show, and like it's such a. But it was like, God, if they had taken the time with it, that would have like been game changing. Like I just I've been really into Attack on Titan, and that just ended, and the last chapter made me really sad because it felt like Game of Thrones again. It's like, wow, rushing this to try to get through it, and I'm like, I get it. You want to move on to something else. You want to like put a bow on this, but like, if you really
take your time.
One thing I love about Marvel so much is like, like with Endgame, they really took their time and like, they stuck the landing. That's like the only franchise I love that's ever stuck the landing. Like How I Met Your Mother used to be my favorite sitcom. And I remember in 2014 watching that last 5 minutes, taking a water bottle, absolutely.
I know. We did the same thing. We were big fans of that one. And you're right. Marvel's really the only one that has done it right so far.
Yeah. And I think our culture is we're so big on like the extended journey, if you will, and not about things and not about beginnings. Like, I mean, look at like people with dating culture. It's like, you know what I mean? Like the actual beginning of dating is like, so it's so difficult because we're worried about like, getting in the next phase. But then once you get into the next phase, like, okay, cool. Are we going to go to the next step? Are we going to end this? And usually it's like that limbo phase. It's like, let's stretch it out as long as we can. And I feel like Song is very similar.
Yeah. It just, it puts everybody, like when you go through those relationships, it's miserable on everybody. Just end it.
Exactly. And, I just, I haven't been in I hadn't been in this serious relationship for like 5 years. So it's been very, very nice finally being in that, like that good, like, all right, cool. We're in the relationship phase. I've been in this a year. This is great. Right.
Well, you couldn't do anything last year.
Well, man, we got together like a month before quarantine started. So we did long distance for like 10 months, man. It's like,
Hey, congrats. Yeah, my son did the same thing. He started dating a girl a few weeks before we got locked down, and they basically had to date by Zoom, for months. So that's not easy. But if you can get through that, you've already been through something together, kind of builds the relationship.
Well, and it's like, it's amazing how far you can go with talking. Because, like, other things are nice, obviously, but like in the end, it's like you got to be able to communicate. You can't communicate well.
It's like when I was little, we used to have to talk on the phone.
Yeah.
Nobody talks on the phone anymore.
Dude, that's so my style. I hate texting. I literally, if I care about you, I call you.
That's right.
Like
it's just good manners.
right before this interview, I had a friend calling me. I was like, oh, okay. Dude, I'm so sorry. I have an interview in like 5 minutes.
That's right.
Like, let's call out.
I got a more important person on the line. I have to go.
Let's schedule this.
Oh, shoot. Matt, this has been great. Thank you so much. But before I let you go, so we've talked about all this stuff you got coming out. Where can we find it? Where are you at on social media?
Yeah, so if I'm on all the streaming platforms. You go to Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Deezer, Tidal, all them good ones. I'm at MNERVA, so it's gonna be MNERVA, no I, because
I love that.
Thank you. And all caps, we love. And yeah, on social media, on Instagram and TikTok, you can find me at I_am_Minerva with no I. And then on Facebook, you can just find me by looking up Minerva. Same with YouTube.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I think I found you on all of them, but I didn't even think to look at TikTok because I'm still getting used to TikTok. That's a new one.
I'm still trying to figure it out myself. I'm not going to lie. I got a long way to go, but hey, it only takes one video. So just keep posting.
That's it. That's all it takes. And you only have 58 seconds or something like that.
Yeah. Now, you can do a lot of damage. And honestly, shorter the better.
Yeah, that's truth. That's truth. Because being honest, 90% of it's just nonsense. But there's some really good stuff on there. You just have to look a little bit for it.
I definitely will look at the drumming side of TikTok and be like, I can do that, and we're just gonna keep scrolling on that.
That's right. That's why that's me. I'm like, and then every once in a while you'll find somebody that's just crazy talented, and I'm like, that's the one. I'll stay with them.
Exactly.
Pretty good. Well, Matt, thank you so much. You have to come back. Maybe when the album's getting ready or the first song from the album's getting ready to come out.
Yeah, I'm about to say, Mike, this has been wonderful. I would absolutely love that. That's great.
We may just have to come on and talk nerdy stuff. We can do a whole show on that.
I'm about to say, hey, man, 2 geeks. Let's go.
Oh, shoot. All right, Matt, hold on 1 second. I want to hit. All right, so that was MNERVA, Matt Wagner. So talented, so talented. I hope you'll go and check out his music because it's unique and fun, and it's got a message. It's got a little bit of humor. It talks about some pretty serious subjects. I mean, it's really well done. So please make sure you check that out. The new release is called Stuck. It's coming out on April the 30th. I know you'll enjoy that. And what a good guy. I mean, he's so much energy. I wish I had a tenth of that energy. That's amazing. So good for him. And I know we'll hear so much more from him, and we'll get him to come back on down the road. So we'll check that out. Thank you guys so much for tuning in again this week. Definitely don't take that for granted. I know there's a ton of podcasts out there that you could be listening to. You keep coming back. I really appreciate that. If you haven't already, it would really help us out if you would go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. It's at Meisterkhan Pod. You can also check out our website, meisterkhan.com. You can find all 215 or so episodes, audio and video. There is a fabulous nerdy, geeky blog from Brett. He's such a talented writer. It's fun. You'll enjoy that. And then it's got all of our upcoming events. If we're covering a show, anything like that, all that's on there. So definitely please do check that out. All right. Thank you to MNERVA, which is really a cool name. I'm a little jealous that I didn't come up with that. I'm not. Who am I kidding? I'd have stuck with Meisterkhan, but MNERVA might have been my second choice. Thank you guys very much. Until next time, bye.